Well, welcome to a new Harry's Farm video, and you might be able to tell we're not at my home farm at the moment because I've come up to Dalesford to join Lord Bamford on a trip to JCB headquarters, because this video is all going to be looking at the use of hydrogen, the potential use of hydrogen, shall we say, in tractors, heavy goods vehicles, etc. We're obviously going through this huge change at the moment, and the focus is on how do we reduce our CO2 emissions, and for transportation, etc. There's a charge to electric. Well, Lord Bamford isn't sure this is the right solution for the heavy goods vehicle market and tractors, etc. Sounds as though one's just approaching and about to come past us now. Yes, turning in. Here we go. And he's working on the idea, is hydrogen actually a better solution for that type of vehicle, for the JCB excavators and the backhoe like that, and also the fast track tractors. So in a few moments, yeah, he has a lovely way commuting to the office. We'll be joining him on that, be landing over there in a moment, and then we'll be at the headquarters, and I'll take you around and with Lord Bamford see what the potential of hydrogen is for heavy goods vehicles in the future. Fantastic, allowing us into your lab here at Bamford and seeing this hydrogen engine. What started you on this journey?
Well, first of all, we've been making diesel engines here in this plant since 2004.
Yes.
And we developed the engines ourselves. It's our own design, and so we knew about making engines. We've made probably 1 million engines in that time.
Yeah.
That sort of number. We're making 200 a day at the moment here in the UK and 200 in India. So we know about making it, and also our family business was making agricultural machinery, and they made them before the war.
Yeah.
Pretty basic ones compared to what we're making now.
But with the future, everyone's going electric, and you were telling me that you have looked at electric and you can see some issues on the horizon.
There are issues in our type of products.
Yeah.
Our type of products, a passenger car, does about 300 hours a year, something like that on average. It's much of it is just going from home to work and back again, and a bit further, but not a lot further.
Which is completely different, isn't it, in the construction?
Totally different.
Yeah.
Construction machinery is there to do a job. Somebody earns money owning that machine, so they want it working for a full day's shift. And a full day's shift on, say, a mini excavator may be 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
But on a backhoe loader, a JCB that people know as a JCB,
yeah,
it could be an 8-hour shift. On an excavator, which might be earth moving, could be double shifted. It could be 16 hours a day.
Same with trucks as well, isn't it?
Same with trucks.
Yeah.
Trucks, particularly heavy duty trucks, are used for, well, in America, thousands of miles they're doing in a day, double shifting.
And with an electric, you've got electric excavator,
Yeah.
and you've experimented. How long do they run?
The electric, our electric range of machines will run for what we call a full day's shift for them, which is probably about 5 hours or 4 hours, and then they need to be recharged. But that is enough for most jobs.
So, yeah, I find this fascinating because everybody's just rushing. They're not actually thinking of the practicalities. And you were saying you've put logging in all the vehicle, excavators, etc., JCB machines. So you actually have real data of how people are using the machines.
We have data by the minute on certainly 350,000 machines in the world.
Unbelievable.
And we know, and this is of great value to the customer, it's of great value to our dealer, great value to us, because we make engines, we make hydraulics, and it's terribly important to know what their work cycles are.
And that's the big one, is the number of hours people are doing it. You're saying, I couldn't get over, there's 8,000 hours in a year.
That's right.
And in India, they're doing...
In India, there are many doing 5,000 hours a year.
It's ridiculous.
I know.
So
but think of a farmer in Britain, actually with their main tractor, They may not do a lot in a year, but they'll do shifts of 18 hours, won't they? When the weather's good. So it's a different thing to your saloon car. A car is used so little, really. And it takes a long time to we wouldn't be able to recharge a machine and make it useful in the time.
No.
That's a problem. There are other problems as well. Batteries are very heavy. They're also very expensive, so it's inflationary. This engine, this hydrogen engine, won't be inflationary. And that's one hell of a plus, that is.
That is extraordinary. So this is the same price as a diesel engine to make, isn't it?
It is. It will be a similar price. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but it's not times more. If you use a hydrogen fuel cell, it's many times more. If you use batteries, it's many times more. And you've got a big weight impediment, which is a real nuisance for us. It must be for tractors and it must be for trucks, I would think.
Well, what got me when we were just talking upstairs, a 20-ton excavator, if you were trying to electrify that, you were adding how much battery is it? Is it
8 tons at least.
Of battery?
Of battery.
To replace the diesel engine.
Put in batteries, it's 8 tons more. And, you've got cost, a lot more. Probably 70% more the unit would be. Plus you have to, all the components have to go up in size because the machine, instead of being 20 tons, is now 28 tons.
Right.
So you have to have bigger sprockets, bigger gears, all those sort of things.
And the price, you were saying, could almost double by the time you finished.
The price would double,
and then when you put it in the field, you can't use it for a full day anyway.
You can't use it, and there's a reason that machine is 20 tons. It is used on particular jobs. There are bigger machines, of course. We make 50-ton machines as well, but the volume is not so high.
Great machines, but I just think this is a very interesting solution because a mechanic, today's mechanic, your engine shop, this is sort of conventional, but it has the possibility of being zero-emission engine, which is what we're actually trying to do with all of this.
This will be zero emissions. And there's quite a lot of development to carry on with it yet, because it's in its infancy. But we deliberately want to show it to people, to show that there are alternatives. And this is a good alternative to batteries and maybe other ways of doing things. Hydrogen's been around a long time.
You weren't showing me that. I had no idea it was that early that they were actually working on a hydrogen-powered engine, internal combustion engine.
1804 or 1808. Yes, that's right.
But what really strikes me that this is a fit. You could fit that in a digger, and the operator almost wouldn't know there was any difference.
They won't actually. The torque characteristic will be the same. So the sound is different, but not a lot. It sounds more like a petrol engine. And in terms of, he fills it in the same way. It has a nozzle. You fill it in the same way as filling your car. A lot of pluses. You don't have to fill it overnight or with a battery would do.
The sort of recharge time is like a conventional car then, isn't it? With
yes,
hydrogen.
it is.
So it's just, you were saying it's 350 bar tanks in the place of a diesel tank or a petrol tank, and it's the same sort of size to get it to run for a full day. So actually, this is a very good solution. We now need the infrastructure to provide the hydrogen to this. You can do this, you can't influence that bit.
We'd like to influence it. More than anything, I want to influence the powers that be, that an internal combustion engine, that its days are not over, that there is still a great future for internal combustion engine for all sorts of reasons. One of them is people know how to work on them. We've got 770 dealers worldwide, and I don't know how many mechanics and engineers can work on it. They know how to do it. And they're reliable too. That's the other highly reliable units. And it's the cost element too. They are not inflationary. I think that's major.
That is a key thing, isn't it? That life would almost continue as normal. My combine, my tractor, etc.
Exactly.
It was just going to have a hydrogen tank on the farm. Yes, it's going to be high pressure, or having delivery, but the zero emission effectively will have to come from clean energy. So it's this idea of having wind turbines, electric, solar, with electrolysis and bringing hydrogen out of water, isn't it?
And it's very possible to do an electrolyser, and some, I think Siemens in Germany are building some very big electrolysers at the moment that will be able to produce thousands of tons of hydrogen. Yeah. And hydrogen can also be produced with solar panels as well, solar farms. So it has got but you're right, it's not there at the moment.
No. The reason you have a very interesting theory on why there's the rush to electric.
I don't know who started this off, but I do believe that politicians worldwide, particularly in America and in Britain and probably in Europe, are mesmerised by Musk.
Yeah.
I think Musk was around at a time when Volkswagen was cheating. Yeah. And it's a combination of him with a fresh new way of doing things and the Germans caught cheating. That I think it's given such a bad name to the combustion engine. Yeah. It's not the combustion engine that's the problem. Yeah. It's the fossil fuels that are the problem. Yeah. And that's why I'm showing this, because I'm showing that it's possible to have an internal combustion engine without having dirty fuel.
Yeah, well, I think that's a really good reason, because I know there's a huge amount of the world who just will not be able to have that energy electric to charge up all this fleet of vehicles in all sorts of ways. Yeah. Suddenly this is a fuel very portable again, that life continues as normal, as we've known it, doesn't it? I can see there's that inner city electric has a charge, so long as you can charge at home and you're doing low miles. But there's a whole lot of other uses of the internal combustion engine that require longevity.
I think there's trains. Mr. Tavares, who runs, I can't remember what the name of the company is, but it's changed. It was Peugeot, Fiat, and Vauxhall, of course. Yes. Made a major speech 3 weeks ago in which he was talking about the inflationary element of electric cars. Yes. And we talk about a family saloon. Vauxhall Astra is £14,000. Yeah. Vauxhall Astra Electric is £29,000. Yeah. This is highly inflationary. Yeah. Now, if you think everybody, we have 7,500 people in Britain come to work at JCB, they come how? They don't come on a bus, they may come on a bike if they live nearby, but majority of them come in their car. Yeah. Yeah. And so that is, if it's going to be double to buy a family car, not only are they having a problem buying a house at the moment, but buying a family car as well. I mean, these elements are socially changing, I think, are not thought of by politicians at all, probably only because they're bothered about tomorrow's press. Yeah.
Well, the politician would answer, the price is going to come way down as there's more mass production.
Do you know, it isn't true. We buy batteries from 5 different sources. Yeah. If you ask them what the price is going to be a year out or 2 years out, they're going to be more. And the main reason is that the rare earth materials that's in them, particularly lithium, cobalt, copper, and copper's doubled in a year. Yeah. Now, is it going to come down again just because the volume goes up? No. The main components are such a big element. There's no labour in building batteries, or very little. So you're really building a thing with lots of these elements in it, and the cost is a world price. It's not going to come down.
That's what I'm hearing from a lot of manufacturers as well. Yeah.
It isn't.
It's not good. I understand there's an engine running, so I think we ought to go and have a look at that.
We are going to look at an engine.
Hydrogen, that's terrific. Thank you. Paul, nice to meet you. You've been developing this engine. You are the tech behind this engine, and this is a working example. Went on the dyno when first time?
So this ran on the 8th of December 2020.
Right.
And it runs in a JCB generator. So systems, self-sustained with its own cooling system, and a simple supply of hydrogen down the stainless steel tube. The new ignition system mounted on top of the engine, similar to a gasoline.
This is weird because JCB I just associate with diesel engines, but now you have to put a spark plug in it.
Yes.
Completely different. But you want the character of the engine not to just replicate where you are now.
Very much so. Our customers demand a really low-end torque value, a really high torque value. So with that advanced boosting and the perfect mixing, we're able to achieve almost carry-over diesel-like performance to give you that low-end torque.
And I'm surprised. I thought I was going to see a smaller engine or something, but you're not. This is still a 4 point something.
This is the standard 4.8 litre JCB engine.
Right.
The block is the same.
Right.
It's the cylinder head where all the changes have been made to move to that away from compression ignition to spark ignition.
Right. And the tanks are over there, Charlie. If you look at those, that's sort of high. That's what it looks.
Yeah, our focus was purely on the combustion.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure, the supply of hydrogen was quite straightforward. Just had it delivered to site, plugged it in, and then we got on with unlocking that combustion.
But what I found interesting was if you get a litre of diesel to a litre of that hydrogen in there, 3 times more energy per litre.
By mass, it's more potent.
Right,
So that's how we can run those lean mixtures and still get the same performance.
Right.
Even more importantly is the recharge time.
Right.
Refilling a tank or recharging a battery. So different. That's what gives it that autonomy and rapid refill time, which is what we need in our sector.
Yeah. So a fast charge on this is minutes, isn't
Very
it?
much so. And the amount of energy, the fast charge, if you will, you've got it there for a day's work.
Yes.
And you get that instantly. And these engines are worked hard. That's what they're there for. They're a product of hard work.
Does it sound different, or
It's slightly more towards gasoline. It's a slightly softer pressure rise inside the combustion chamber. So yes, it's a slightly softer sound, but still distinctively off-highway. And a little bit of turbo noise is coming in now as well.
Doesn't it just look like a steam engine out the exhaust? Or?
So under initial conditions, initial start, especially on a damp day, we are generating water with zero CO2 combustion. So we do see some steam initially. But as soon as the exhaust system is warmed up and the engine is warmed up, we see nothing else.
It's just
no soot.
It's brilliant. No, real makes you think moment when you see a hydrogen motor and think, why aren't we looking at this in more detail as an industry? But great to see British engineers at the forefront at last. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
You must be pretty proud of this, aren't you? Look at this here.
Very proud of it. I'm more proud, honestly, of my team.
Yes.
I mean, they've done one hell of a job in such a short space of time.
It's staggering, isn't it?
It is.
It was 6 months since this first run, and a year, well, just over a year, isn't it, when you had that challenge. You were saying it was your son that really put you up to this.
It's Joe Bamford who put me up to it, because he said it couldn't be done. He's had a passion about hydrogen for a long time, and he owns a bus company, and the buses will be powered by hydrogen, which I think is most interesting.
But that was fuel cell, wasn't it? He was first looking at it?
Yes.
This is very different to fuel cell. This is technology that we understand better.
Fuel cells exist, of course. They're terribly expensive at the moment. Doesn't mean to say they always will. This is not a plea for British engineering, but I do believe we've got wonderful engineers in Britain. And people sort of tend to... I think we've also got wonderful manufacturing businesses. Literally, thousands and thousands of people in Britain making things that are designed by engineers. And we have an academy. We have 790 pupils daily at our academy doing engineering part of the day. And we've got, I think, about 3,000 young people in the past that have been at our academy that know about engineering. So to me, I think it's important. We're the proof of it. Here it is.
Now, you also have a bit of a car collection. You have a similar addiction to me on a slightly bigger scale. But where does hydrogen play a part in passenger cars or sports cars? Or?
Looking ahead. Well, I think it should be very actively considered. by the powers that be. I don't think the car manufacturers should be intimidated by Musk.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think the engines that they make are so inexpensive, so
Yes.
they're not inflationary.
Yes.
So they should make, this is my humble view, they should make them work with hydrogen.
Yes.
It's possible to do it.
Because this is
No,
very
that-
much done to a job, isn't
This
it?
is a very heavy engine for our type of application.
Yeah.
You know, looking ahead, what do we have to do in our business if we're not doing this?
Yes.
What do we replace the diesel engine with
Yes.
if they're going to be banned?
Yes.
We have to find an alternative. This
Yeah.
is our alternative.
This is a very good one.
Yeah.
So, Bamford, thanks for showing me around. It's been absolutely terrific, eye-opening as I expected, and it's nice to see a different take on what the future will hold. And I just also one that's more familiar, so that's really good to see.
Harry, thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that was all fascinating stuff, being in the actual engine room where all that prototype work was taking on. And it was at that point Lord Bamford had to leave us, and we moved up to the sort of proving ground and with the engineers who are then working on this new technology actually in the field in machines. And what struck me when they started going through what they've discovered over the last couple of years on these sort of machines, one, they have an electric excavator that's won lots of awards. A little machine, 2 tons maximum weight, so you can put it on a trailer and tow it, and it's all electric with batteries on it. And it's won lots of awards because it's super quiet, super efficient, and can do the amount of work is required, about 4 or 5 hours running time. And that's just what those sort of mini diggers sort of do. The only trouble with it is, as soon as you put battery on it, the machines get more expensive. And so if you had a conventionally powered diesel little excavator, about £19,000. If you want a pure electric one, £33,000. So quite an uplift in price. And that was sort of the story with all the machines. And especially so if you put a fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cell on it. Then a 20-ton excavator there, £130,000 it would cost. Put a fuel cell, electric fuel cell on it, it's 130% more expensive. Nearly £300,000 would be the price of it. And this is the sort of dilemma that's facing the HGV world, the lorry world, and also for combines and tractors and things, because it's their heavy demand that these require. They're not like an electric car that does little commutes and does those sort of 300 hours, as Lord Bamford was mentioning. These do lots of hours a year, and when we're in sort of harvest mode of the combine, I don't want it to recharge it after 4 or 5 hours. It's just a nonsense. And that is why they turn to this hydrogen. Because they've got all this data on all these machines now working in the field, they've discovered that basically the bigger, heavier machines work the longest and have the heaviest load, which sounds sort of obvious, but it's great to have the actual data to prove the point. So there is a finite point. The battery technology at JCB is fine for the smaller machines, those mini excavators. They've got little dump trucks, forklifts operating in warehouses, that sort of thing. Move up the scale, and 20-ton excavator is the standard fit machine, or a fast track. That is where this hydrogen will come in. And then we saw one working up there, and it's just bizarre because it just feels normal. There's no outside sign that this is powered not by diesel but by hydrogen. Everything sort of looks the same. I've got a model one over there. It's a white looking, they put green straps on it. Where the diesel tank fits, they put 5 little tanks in that holds 5 kilos of hydrogen, and that means it can work for its regular 10 hours, the excavator, the backhoe machine they showed us. And that's all you really want. But it then, as far as I could see, the stumbling block was when you come to refill it. It's dead easy to refill. It's just a connector. They all have the same hydrogen connector. But it was such early stages of all this sort of thing that it gets delivered. If you order your hydrogen, it gets delivered at 200 bar pressure. But your excavator or backhoe works, they've got it working at 350 bar, which is where they want to work it. So you have your hydrogen delivered, and then you have to pressurize it, and that means you've got this great big box they had there, and there's a pump inside, pumping the 200 bar delivered pressure up to 450 bar, so then you need more pressure in your bowser, as it were, to feed your machine that works at 350 bar. It is a stumbling block at the moment, but that is something I am sure will change. But my take on it, I was sort of overjoyed to see, I know what the future of this tractor and this combine is. We can move to hydrogen-powered engines, conventional internal combustion engines. The machine costs no more. They put it at 10 to 15% more than a diesel tractor at the moment. And actually the engine is cheaper to make because we've got this such high pressure diesel rails on today's diesel engines. It's a much lower pressure actually operating into the engine. The only more expensive item is the tanks to store the hydrogen on the machine. They're more expensive than a diesel tank that's plastic moulded and you fit on the side. But that's going to come down as well. But we're going to have diesel for some years, decades to go. I mean, the government has announced that diesel will go in 2040. But that visit to JCB just showed me battery does not work on the heavy machinery like this and HGV fleet, but that's okay. Engineers to the rescue. Hydrogen internal combustion engines are the answer. We can produce clean hydrogen by electrolysis of water, and as soon as we're doing that from renewables, we have genuine zero emission farm machinery, lorries that can operate, as we know now, with the full working day. So fantastic to learn and get the background to all this information. I think it shows battery up as not the answer for the bigger machines, but there is an alternative. So I have to say thank you again to Lord Bamford for inviting me up to JCB to see behind the scenes and what they've been working on. So hope you enjoyed this video. Different one for the farming channel, but lots of info and I think a real rosy future for our machines going into the future. Thanks for watching.